Alrighty, so this is just going to be a quick Age of Empires 3 crash course just to get you guys started. I'm not going to go super in depth on anything. And just cover the basics. The most important building in the game is obviously your town center, and the most important rule in any strategy game is always be building economy. You always want these workers producing. If you have any downtime on your town center, every worker in the game gathers roughly 60 resources per minute. Any downtime that you have, anytime they're not gathering resources, you are losing that income. That starts to stack up. If you are down 60 resources, that's almost an entire worker that you're then falling behind. Or economy upgrades, that means you can build less military, less armies, replenish less stuff, control less of the map. Everything comes from your eco. So that's the start of it. You generally want to put all of your starting guys on food. You need 800 food. You can't see this here because I've set myself to Imperial Age for the purposes of the demonstration. But you generally need 800 food. So you pretty much want all of your early workers going to food. Now, one caveat of that is there is population. You can see here, right now I'm at 10 out of 10. That includes the guy training, the other two people training. When I hit that, I won't be able to build any more workers. You can see there I can't. So you got to keep building houses. Now, you don't want to overbuild houses because they cost wood and that hurts your eco. So anybody gathering wood is not gathering food, and therefore you're slowing down your eco, and then you're just putting that towards a house that does nothing. You want to basically get your houses as you get population caps. This one's going to go up just before this person comes out. I also get a free villager from it because I'm British, so every civilization kind of has their own bonuses. And then you can see I can keep building workers. So you want to be doing that, and then eventually you want to be clicking up the age up. There's a couple of different options when you age up. You want to kind of alter it depending on your strategy. So that's the early game. You want to make sure you don't get pop capped. Always be building workers. There are other strategies, like if you have multiple town centers, then you can build more town centers, and then you're producing twice as many workers. Now, if you're only building one worker every, I don't know what it is, 15 seconds or something, and they have two town centers, that means they're just doubling your workers. Over the course of the game, that adds up. They will absolutely demolish you if you don't match that in some capacity. So you always want to have your workers doing something, and you always want your town center producing. Now, the other aspect is your shipments. So every time you do anything in the game, you get XP. Use that XP to put towards shipments. First, you have to select a deck. Now, there are a whole bunch of different decks in the game that they give you by default. You can also create your own decks, which is much more interesting, and in my opinion, where half of the game comes from, because you can create some really interesting decks. For now, we're just going to pick the beginner deck. But you can see here, there's the 4 different ages. So the earlier shipments are typically worse. Like 3 workers, that's really nice early game, but late game, that doesn't really move the fucking needle. 8 workers in the castle age, now that's pretty good. Then there's all these kind of like forts, so massive forts that can be built for free. That is really, really good. And then there's things like factory wagons that produce really strong artillery or infinite resources or hot air balloons. And the infinite resources part is really helpful because although food and gold is infinite in this game, because you've got mills and estates, they require people manning them to do that. And that means population that's not going towards your military. So if you have a maxed out 100 military versus 150 military, you will get absolutely murdered. So it's really important to send these shipments when you have them available. Pick a deck as soon as you can. If you've got a custom deck, do that. Now, right now, my town center is not building, so I was doing all that explanation. That's bad. So you queue up a whole bunch of workers, put them on wood or whatever. You want to have a roughly equal balance of resources.
Yes.
Now, the next most important thing early is economy upgrades. So you you can see there, I'm right-clicking on that, and I'm shift-clicking back to the resources. So what that means is they will build or do whatever I just tasked them to do, and then they'll go back. So the early game resources you care about from the markets are these 3 here. There's 2 tiers of them. So to start with, this one makes you gather from hunted faster, which is your main source of income early game, which are these deer. And then you get faster lumber cutting trees and faster mining. Very, very important early game, because you can imagine this is 10% across, how many workers do I have right now? 15 workers. That's a lot of extra resources I'm getting in. You can see there now I finished the first tier, I unlocked the second tier. I get that. There are also these ones that make your workers slightly stronger and more defensive, but that's not that important. There is also then the most important upgrades, in my opinion, in the game, which all come from your capital. Now, the capital's only available to European civs, I believe. I don't know what the Asian civs or the Native American civs do, but these 3 here are incredibly useful. 50% on basically all of your villager resource gathering is insanely important. And you can also get access to some really powerful stuff, like spies allows you to see everything your enemy can see and reveals the entire map. That's really, really handy in a game like this because you can see your enemies, building up military units. I know that he's probably going to attack at some point. I did set it to easy just so that it wouldn't get constantly attacked by the enemy. But you can imagine how powerful that is. You can see where all their workers are. So like I knew I could send a raid out here and maybe kill these villagers, come in from this side, stuff like that. Vision is very, very important. So getting those eco upgrades as soon as you can and getting these eco upgrades as soon as you can are fantastic because they allow you to build more. Now the other upgrades, they allow you to build more military. Now military is awesome. Obviously you can't win the game without military. And there are different line upgrades. Now what a line upgrade is for like an individual unit, it upgrades just that type of unit. So you can see here, this is a longbowman. Or I can build one longbowman, or I can get the veteran longbowman that gives it 20% more hit points and 20% more damage. And then once I have that, there'll be another upgrade after that, and there'll be a couple more until they're maxed out. That's incredibly important. However, you do need to get it for every single unit. So this one gives me hussars, veteran hussars. This gives me guard dragoons. 30% hit points, 30% damage. You can imagine with a maxed out army, that is incredibly important. That can absolutely decide the game. So you want to be getting these line upgrades as soon as you can. And they kind of tie in with military shipments. For example, there's one here. Musketeers and grenadiers get more hit points and more damage. So I can send that shipment, and you can see it's coming over here. It arrives in, 20 seconds or whatever. If I can get that, and I can upgrade my musketeers here to veteran musketeers, suddenly these effects are compounding, and I've got incredibly strong musketeers. Now, there are counter systems. So, for example, musketeers are ranged units. They're good against melee units because they can shoot them, but then cavalry can run them down, but then melee units can beat up cavalry. So it's kind of that scissors, paper, rock. You can see right now my counter is not producing. I just want to queue that back up. Oh, I can't queue it back up because of my population cap. There we go. Drop down a house if I need multiple people working on it to make it go a little bit faster. Do that. And then, yeah, you can see here, red coats, upgrade my musketeers to red coats. Just keep stacking these things. You just want to keep getting these upgrades. There are other upgrades as well available from the church, which I'll show in a second. But the last thing that I really want to talk about right now is your trade posts. So these are these like Native American things out on the map, and these ones here. There's two types. These ones on this are trading posts, and there's like you can see this little cart runs through the map, and then when it gets to the end, it starts again from the start. Every time it goes past here, it gives you either XP or a resource that you can set. As long as you have one of these little trading posts set up, that is infinite resources. That allows you to scale. It's incredibly strong. The other type is these ones here, where if you build a trading post on the a settlement on this little area, then you can build these like neutral units, and you can get a couple of upgrades. For example, this one increases ranged infantry hand attack. This one increases villager gathering rate for wood by a little bit. There's a couple of different types, that's the same one. They're all Shaolin temples on this map, I guess. But there are often different ones on the map that you want to look for, and they give different upgrades. Now, this sounds like a lot of stuff to do in the late game. Oh, also, they don't take population. Sorry, incredibly important. So you can only have a certain number of them. But not taking up population means your maxed out army is that much stronger than your enemies. A lot of stuff to do in the late game. Early game, you feel like you might have a lot of downtime because your villagers are just kind of gathering resources. You can see here I've got 2 idols. Click on them, send them to do something. But that's where your scout comes in. This guy's job is to obviously walk around and pick up these little white X's on the minimap. They are like little mini events. So right here, this is, I can hover over it. 45 coin worth of resources. That's quite a lot in the early game. Guardian, 1 black bear. Now I can just shoot him normally, or I can use this sharpshooter attack on him, which will one-shot any treasure guardian. And then I can right-click on the guardian, on the treasure, and it'll pick it up, and that's free stuff. So that's kind of what you want to be doing early game while you explore. This one has no guardian. This is just free, but you can see there's like ones further away from your base that might be looking for one that's a little bit more defended. Maybe not on this map. This map's a little bit shite for defenses, but this one does have 3 different monitor lizards defending it. So that might be a little bit harder to take for your guy. There are also, here's a bunch of monkeys and stuff defending it as well. That's a little bit harder. But you want to be picking these up early game because they are incredibly valuable. This is another one that allows you to one-shot a unit, but it's only available in the Imperial Age. The other thing I'm not really going to talk about is docks. Obviously, you can build docks. They're only really relevant on water maps. This isn't a water map, and then you probably won't play one for a while. But you can build fishing boats from docks. They don't take population, I think, and you can put them to gather fish for infinite resources or whales for infinite coin. infinite food versus infinite coin, and you can build warships that also don't take population. It's just another element of fighting. I wouldn't worry too much about scissors, paper, rock. It's just basically build the best unit that you can on the ocean. It's the best thing. And then the final thing is hotkeys. Can be really, really useful. So I've kind of got some hotkeys. For example, by default, attack move is A. I don't like... Sorry, attack move is space in the game. I don't like pressing that. So I changed mine to A, and then I left click or right click where I want to go. And there's a bunch of like other finding units that's really helpful. For example, find idle villager, I have that to F1. Find selection, I like to set that to space. And then what that means is when I have a unit selected, and let's see if we keep bindings, I can press space and it'll center on that unit. And then if I have an idle villager, which I don't right now, but if I cancel this guy and I press F1, it goes to that idle villager, and then I can do it. If I have multiple, I'm pretty sure I can shift F1, and it selects all of them. And then I can send them to go do something. Incredibly handy. There's also like a grid layout that I use, which is available here. You don't have to use it, but if you change your key bindings to legacy or default, is grid. So right now I can press W to research this, or I can press E to get the coin one, R, T, and so on. If I want to get these ones, A, S, D, because they're on the... Oh, that one's not A, because A's attack move. But I can press these different buttons to do different things. Now, there are different victory conditions in the game, depending on the game mode. So one of them is just wiping it, killing all of your enemy's stuff. That's generally called Conquest. But there are other ones available. Like right now, he just activated a trade victory, which means the game ends in 5 minutes unless I kill one of his trade posts. That's pretty much it. Other than that, have fun. Once you get a little bit more of a handle on it, you can practice. Oh wait, sorry. Last thing. Are these estates and farms, mills. They've got their own resources attached to them, their own individual upgrades. So if you feel like, oh, you put down an estate, it's not good to do in the early game because it is slower. Like, it's an infinite coin, but it's slower income than mining. So you want to do this until your mines start to run out, or because, you know, like, they're too dangerous. Like, me going to get this mine is so far away from my base, I'm just going to get attacked. But you can upgrade them here to be more efficient as well, as, you know, all of your shipments that come through here usually upgrade your resource gathering as well. And this one, you can do the same for the mill. Upgrade the mill. This makes these viable late game sources of income. And from the church, finally, I didn't talk about these two upgrades. These are incredibly useful. Infantry build time down by 25%, and cavalry down by 35%. You can start stacking those with other ones that let your units train faster, and suddenly it becomes incredibly useful. Because you can start popping out units almost instantly. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Most importantly, just have fun, and when you get more experience, you know, you can play around with the deck builder, which is available here. So you click home city, you can select your home city up here, or you can click on this button, and it actually gives you the option to go through all the home cities. And you can look at like their special units and the way they play. Like this guy gets faster shipments. This gets torps gathered nearby units. Like this one has forts instead of town centers, things like that. And then once you have one selected, you can go to the deck builder down here. Delete the existing deck, so you can play around with all these different cards. You can either filter them by age, so this is only available on first age, second age, third age, etc. Which can be handy if you're like, oh, I want to build, you know, late game stuff. Or you can filter by card types. So this makes this all of like the workers, the resources, the economy stuff, and that aren't like straight upgrades, just like send some economy stuff and explorer stuff and healers. This is strictly military, so improve all of you. Imagine this. Improve your cavalry action damage by 15%, then your hit points by 15%, then both by 15%, plus you get the in-game ones. Suddenly you've got some incredibly strong cavalry. Otherwise, the cathedral is just like Native American treaty stuff, you know, cheaper estate wagons, just kind of various. Manufacturing is strictly economy, so this improves all of your gathering rate by 25% on that. Villages build faster, all that kind of thing. And harbor is all of your boats. But yeah. Have fun. Let me know if you get any questions. Thanks.